Quick demo of this Angular 6 tutorial. Here we will implement Angular 6 CRUD operations, insert, update and delete with the help of Firebase. We can learn lot of points like designing Angular form using reactive forms with validations, how to insert new records to Firebase and display them in Angular 6 table with filter operation. So please watch till the end of this video tutorial. Finally, I just want to tell you that in upcoming series of videos, we will learn how to use Angular 6 material. We will have discussion on form design, CRUD operations, pop-up dialog, data table with paging, sorting and filtering and much more. Before starting this video, I would like to ask you a favor. If you found this video helpful, please thumbs up this video. If you are new here, please be subscribed to this channel and click on the bell icon to get notification about my new videos. Most of the video lesson here also has a written blog post. You can find the link in video description. You can grab code from there as well. What's up YouTube? Welcome to CodAffection. This is an Angular 6 tutorial. In this tutorial, we will implement CRUD operations in Angular 6 with Firebase. We have already implemented CRUD operations in Angular application with previous versions like Angular 4 and Angular 5. Considering your suggestions and problems, I have decided to implement CRUD operation with latest Angular 6. The major problem was edit operation or update operation. It was not working for some of you. And we have two extra suggestions. We have been using template driven approach in order to design a form. So in this project we will use reactive forms or model driven form approach. And most of you requested to implement filter operation in Angular table. Now let's do this. Here we have the Visual Studio Code editor. So first of all we want to create an Angular 6 project. So first of all let me open a folder where we want to create the project. So here is the file directory where we want to save the project. Inside this project folder, select the folder. In order to create an Angular project, we have to run Angular CLI command. So go to view, then terminal. In order to create an Angular application, you can use this command ng new, then application name. I will name this application as Angular 6 Firebase CRUD. Hit enter. So here we have successfully created the Angular 6 project inside this folder. Now in order to run this application, first of all we have to navigate inside this folder. So we can use the cd command. In order to run this application, you can use this command ng serve, then -- open. In short, you can use --o. Hit enter. It will compile and open this application in your default web browser. So this is how the fresh Angular 6 application looks like. For this application development, we will use bootstrap themes. So first of all, go to the official website getbootstrap.com, then click on this get started button here. You need to include these CSS and JavaScript reference inside the project. So let me copy this CSS reference, then open index.html from the project. Then I will paste the style sheet reference just above the head and tag. In the same way, we need to include this JavaScript reference also. We need to paste that just above the body and tag here. Now we need to select one of the free themes. I will be using this website here, bootswatch.com. Okay, I will select this theme here, sketchy. So here we have the demo for this theme. Now we need to include a style sheet for this theme. So you can click on this download button here. We can download this style sheet into our project, or you can use this style sheet reference here. Let me copy this, then back to index.html. Just below this bootstrap we can add one more link, and I will paste the reference here. Before continuing with this project, I want to show you the structure of application that we want to implement in this project. So I will create a new, I will name the file as applicationstructure.txt, and here is the structure. In this application, we will deal with customer details like full name, mobile, email, and etc. So here we have two components, customer and customer list. Inside this customer component, we will show a form for insert and update operation. And inside this customer list component, we will list all of the inserted customers in a table, and we will implement operations like delete and filter. Finally, we have the customer service class inside this customer.service.ts. Inside that, we will deal with operations for Angular CRUD operation, and we will have some common help functions also. So let's get started. First of all, we need to create these components, customer and customer list. For that, I'm going to add one more terminal. So click on this button, plus button here. Navigate inside the project folder. In order to create a new component, you can use this Angular CLI command ng g4 generate c4 component. First of all, we need a customer component. So just type customer here. Hit enter. Like this, we need one more component, customer list. Hit enter. Newly created components can be seen inside this app folder here. Now we need to create this customer service class inside the shared folder. We have not created this shared folder. Now let's look how to create this shared folder and this customer service class. ng G4 generate S4 service. We need to create the service class inside the shared folder, and service class name will be customer service. So you just need to type customer here. Hit enter. So here we have the customer service class. Now enough with the creation. Let's start designing the application. We will start from the default component HTML. So here we have the default component HTML, app component HTML. Let me remove this default text from here. Here we need a div with class container. Inside this div, we will show this customer HTML. For that, you can use this selector here, which is app-customer. Now let's update customer component HTML. Here we will use the grid system from Bootstrap. So first of all, we need a div with class row. Inside that, we need two columns, one for showing customer form and one for listing inserted customers. Div with class called MD5. Then we need one more div with class called MD7. Inside that, we will show this list component, customer list component. So you can see the corresponding component selector here. So let me copy this and pasting here, and we need to create a tag with this selector. Now let me save all of these modification here, then back to the application here. So here we have the default text from the customer list component. And inside this first grid column, we need to design a customer form. In order to design the form, we have to create an object or form group that we can do inside this customer service class here. Before that, we have to import reactive forms module in app-module.ts file here. So here it is, reactive forms module from Angular forms, and we need to include this class inside this imports array here. Now back to customer service class here. First of all, we will import required classes form, control and form group from Angular forms. Then we will declare a variable of the type form group, which is form, and we have initialized with this form group instance. Inside that, we have to provide an object containing properties of customers. So first of all, we have fullName, which is equal to a form control, and default value will be an empty string. Like that, we need email, mobile and location. When we store these details inside Firebase, it will automatically generate a string which can be used to uniquely identify each records. So here we will consider it as a primary key to uniquely identify each records of customers, which is equal to form control, and default value will be null. Now we can make use of this form group object form in order to design a customer form in customer component. Before that, we have to inject this customer service inside app module.ts file here. First of all, we have the import statement for the customer service class, and we have to add the same customer service class inside the providers array here. Now back to customer component TypeScript file. Here we have to create an object of customer service class, then only we can make use of that form group variable in order to design the form inside this first div here. So here we have the import statement for customer service class here, and then we will create an object of the class inside the constructor like this, customer service. Now open the corresponding component HTML, customer component.html file. Inside that, first of all, we need a form, okay? And we are going to build this form using reactive forms based on this property here inside the service class form. So we have to specify that here. We will specify that with this form group directive, which is equal to CustomerService.form. Inside that, first of all, we have a hidden field input, which is of the type hidden, and inside this hidden field we need to deal with the property key. That means this is the primary key of each record of customer. So we will hide that inside the form. After that, we can display the actual form controls. First of all, we will have a div with class form group. This is from the actual bootstrap. Inside this div, we will show the controls for customer full name. So first of all, we have the label which shows customer full name, and we have the input element which represent the form control name full name. So this form control name should match with this key that we have provided inside this form group here. Okay, then we have the class form control. Like this, we have to show form controls for email, then we have the mobile, and finally we have location. Sorry, here we have an extra class. This is duplicated. After all of these form controls, we want to show a submit button like this. Input type is equal to submit, and we have the class from the bootstrap btn primary, value will be submit. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Then back to the application. Yes, here we have a form to enter customer details like full name, email, mobile, and location with a submit button. Now let's implement the form submit event. For that, we can add this ng submit here. Ng submit is equal to onSubmit function. When we submit this form, it will invoke this onSubmit function. So let's implement this function inside the corresponding TypeScript file here. Here we have the function onSubmit. Inside this onSubmit function, we will implement the both Angular Firebase CRUD operations insert and update. Based on this condition here, if the value inside the key hidden field, inside this field we have this hidden field for this $key property. If it is null, initially it is set as null. If it is null, we will go for insert operation. Okay, we will do the insert operation here. In the else part, we will do the update operation. First of all, we will do the insert operation, and later we will implement the update operation inside the else part. Now before the insert operation, I want to implement form validation here. For that, we have to modify this form group property here. First of all, along with this form control and form group, we have to import validators from the Angular forms. I want to make this full name and mobile as a required or mandatory field for submitting the customer form. For that, we can do this. We will add this validator required here and here. Obviously, we have to check the correct format of email. So for that, we can do this validators.email. In most of the countries, mobile should have at least 8 characters. So I'm going to add one more validator for this mobile control here. So we have to provide an array here. Along with this required validation, we have min length validation also. So this control should at least contain 8 characters minimum. Now we can show this validation error indication inside this form HTML here. Before that, I want to show the validation indication only when form is submitted, not during entering form values, only after submitting the form. In order to check whether a form is submitted or not, we need a property inside the component TypeScript file here. We'll add the property here, submitted, which is of the type boolean. Upon submitting a form, we will set this property as true. If there is no error regarding form validation, we will do the CRUD operations inside this if clause here. After insert or update operation, we will reset the flag to false. Now let's look how we can show the validation error indication inside the component HTML using the submitted property and these validations applied here. Before that, I want to add one more property here, form controls. Inside that, we will store all form controls from this form group here. It will make the validation process more easier. For each control with form validation, we will apply this class is invalid with the help of ng-class directive. This class will be applied when the form is submitted and we have a validation error regarding full name. Along with this is invalid class, we have to add an additional div to show the exact reason for the validation error. So here we have the div with this class invalid feedback, and this div will be shown only based on the same condition. Inside that, we have shown this field is required. In the same way, we need to apply the invalid class here based on the same condition for email, and the possible error for this email control is due to the invalid email address. We will apply the same is invalid class for this mobile text box is invalid based on this condition submitted, and we have any error because of mobile. Considering we have two validation on this mobile control here, we need to show separate validation reason for required and min length validation. So just below the text box, we will show the div with class invalid feedback like we have done before. This div will be displayed only when submitted and we have any error because of mobile control. Inside that, we have separate label for separate validation like this. We show this required label only when we have any error due to required validation. Same for min length also, at least 8 numbers required. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Then back to the application here. Now let's check the validation. If you directly submit this form, you can see the validations here. This field is required for full name and mobile also. If you start typing inside these controls, validation will be gone. Same for mobile, but it should be at least 8 characters long. For email text box, it is not mandatory, even though if you enter an email, it should be in proper format. Now let's look how to save these customer details into a Firebase project. So go to this website console.firebase.google.com. Here I have already logged in with my Gmail account. Now let's create a Firebase project. So click on this add project. Now give a project name. I will set it as Firebase CRUD app. Now accept these terms mentioned here. Then click on this create project button. Click on continue. Under develop section, go to database. Here we need to create a real-time database. So click on this database button here. Now you can see the security rules here. I will set it as test mode so that we can access this database without authentication. Now click on enable. Here you can see the message security rules are defined as public. We can dismiss this notification. So here we are inside the real-time database. Now let's look how to add this Firebase project into this Angular 6 project. For that, first of all, we need to install 2 npm packages into this project. So let me open one more terminal here. Then navigate inside the project folder, npm install, then --save. In short, you can use --s. First package name is Firebase itself, and then we have Angular Fire 2. Hit enter. So here we have successfully installed these 2 packages, Firebase and Angular Fire 2. Now we have to add the Firebase project connection details into Angular 6. For that, go to project overview and then click on this web option here. This is for Android and this is for iOS. Click on this web option, then copy this specific connection object, then back to the Angular 6 project. Then we have to save those connection details inside this environment.ts file here. We will save that connection details under this key Firebase config. Now let me paste the connection details here. Now we have to initialize the Firebase modules using these connection details. So go to app-module.ts file here. First of all, we have to import these 2 classes, Angular Fire module and Angular Fire database module from Angular Fire 2 and Angular Fire 2 database. Along with that, we have to import this environment constant into the module. So here is the import statement. Import environment constant from environment.ts file. In order to initialize the Firebase modules, we can do this. Here we have added Angular Fire database module and Angular Fire module by calling this initialize app function by providing connection details. Now we are ready to consume the Firebase project inside this Angular 6. So go to customer.service.ts file here. Inside this customer service class function, we will define functions for implementing CRUD operations with Firebase. So first of all, we will import these required classes, Angular Fire database and Angular Fire list. In order to work with Firebase, we have to create an object of Angular Fire database inside this service class. For that, here we have the Firebase object. Inside this customer list, we will save all inserted customers from the Firebase project. Now let's define a function to initialize this customer list. So here we have the function get customers. Inside that, we will retrieve all the customers that we have saved inside this Firebase project. This line will retrieve all the customers record from the Firebase project that we have stored under this customers node in our Firebase project. That we can see once we save a record. As we have already defined, this customer list is of the type Angular Fire list. In order to work with this list, we need an observer. So here we have returned an observable from this customer list by calling this function snapshot changes. Here you can see that it returns an observable. Now let me define one more function to insert a customer. So here is the function insert customer with a single parameter customer. In order to insert a new record into Firebase DB, we just need to do this. We will call the push function from the customer list. It's of the type Angular Fire list. Okay, inside that we have to provide an object containing details of customers. During this insert operation, Firebase DB will automatically create the unique string for primary key. So before calling this insert customer function, we need to call this customers function, because inside this function we just initialize the customer list. Then only we can call the push function from this customer list. Since it deals with list of customers, we can call that inside the customer list component here. So first of all, we will inject the customer service class here, and inside this constructor we can make an object of the service customer service here. And inside this ngOnIt lifecycle hook, we can call the get customers function. So as soon as this customer list component is displayed, this ngOnIt lifecycle will be invoked, and thereby this list will be initialized. So before any Firebase CRUD operations insert, update or delete, we have to initialize this customer list. Now let's look how we can submit this form so that we can insert a new record inside the Firebase project. So inside this customer component TypeScript file, we have already defined this onSubmit function. With this if statement, we will do the insert operation. So we will call this insert customer function from this if statement. This.customerService.insert customer function can be called. Inside that, we have passed an object containing details of customers from this form here. So this property CustomerService.form, that means the form group that we have defined here, dot value will give an object containing current values of these text boxes, including $key. After insert or update operation, I want to show a notification saying operation is successfully completed. That we can do here. Just below the form end tag, we will show this div submitted successfully. We want to show this div only when the operation is succeeded, and we want to dismiss that after a certain period of seconds. For that, I will define another boolean value inside the component TypeScript file here. It will be show success message. Initially, boolean properties will be false by default, and we will set it as true once we do insert or update operation. So we can set it as true here. So let's add the ngIf directive here. We don't want to show this div as long as this property is true. We only want to show this div just for a few seconds. For that, we can do this. We will reset the property after a small delay with the help of this set timeout function. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Then back to the application. Now let's insert a new customer. Now let's submit this form. So here we have the success notification submitted successfully. Now let's check whether it is inserted inside the Firebase DB or not. Go to database. Here we are inside the real-time database. Under customers node, we have saved the new record with this automatically generated key, and here we have the customer details. So here we have successfully done with insert operation. Now we have to do one more thing. We have to reset this form after insert or update operation. We just need to do this. We will call the reset function from this form group object. Now let's look how to display inserted customers inside this customer list component. So back to customer list component. Inside this ngOnLifeCycle hook, we have already called this getCustomers function, which actually initializes this customer list by retrieving all the records from this customers node from Firebase DB. This function returns an observer. So from this ngOnLifeCycle hook here, we can retrieve that observer. In order to display those records from the observer, it is better to convert them into an array. So let's define an array here. Since this getCustomers function returns an observer, we can subscribe to that observer here by calling this subscribe function. Inside that, we will have another arrow function with parameter list. Now let's look how to convert that into this array. So first of all, we will call the map function from this list object. Inside that, we will have another arrow function with this parameter item. Now inside this arrow function, we can return an object containing details of customers. So we can use this syntax here. Item.payload.value will return an object containing details of customers without this key. All of these properties, email, full name, location, and mobile, will be there inside this object. Here we have used tree.destructuring syntax from latest JavaScript. It will unpack values from this object so that it can be a part of this another object here. Along with this customer details, we need to have the customer key value, that means this one. We can do this $key is equal to item.key. So here we have converted an observable into an array. Now let's look how to display these records inside an Angular 6 table. So open corresponding component HTML file, customer list component HTML. Instead of this default paragraph, I will add a table. So here we have the table with class table and table-sm. Inside that we have the t-head part, which contains the column headers for full name, email and mobile. Finally, we need to add one empty header to display buttons for edit and delete operation. After this t-head part, we need ng container, and we will iterate through this container based on this directive here, ng for let customer of customer array. So here we are going to iterate through the collection or item from this array. On each iteration, current item will be stored inside this customer object. Inside this ng container, we will have the tr element with class table dark. Inside this tr element, first of all, I will display the full name using string interpolation customer.fullName. After that, we will display email and mobile. Finally, we will add a td element for actions, edit and delete. So here we have two buttons for edit and delete. Now let me save all of these modifications here. Then back to the application. Boom. So here we have listed all the inserted customers inside this Angular 6 table. Now let's look how to implement the edit operation. When we click on this edit button here, it should populate the current customer details inside this form here. After making required changes, we can submit this form for updating the customer details. So first of all, let's add the click event for this edit button here. We will call this function populate form from this customer service, and into that function we will pass the customer object. Inside that we have the complete details of the customer. Now let's define this function populate form inside the customer service class here. It is too simple. We have this function here, populate form, we have this parameter customer. In order to fill the values from this customer object into this form group, we just need to do this.form, which is the form group object.setValue function can be called. Inside that we have passed the object customer. Okay, now let me save all of these modifications here. Back to the application. Now click on this edit button here. So here we have populated details of Cedric Kelly inside this form. Along with these displayed values, it is already updated the hidden field or $key value. So based on that, we can change the customer form onSubmit function. Inside this else block here, we will do the update operation. For that, we just need to call this function update customer from customer service by passing these object, by passing the updated values of the customer. Now we have to define this update customer function inside the service class. So here we have the function update customer with the single parameter customer, and first of all we will call the update function from this customer list object. As a first parameter for this update function, we can pass the key value. So here it is customer.$key. As a second parameter, we can pass the updated customer details. So here is the object which contains the updated customer values. Let me save all of these modifications here. Then back to the application. Now let's update this record. Click on this edit button here. I will change the full name with additional stars. Now click on submit. So here we have the notification submitted successfully. You can see the updated values here also. Now let's change that to original, removing extra stars, then click on submit. So here it is. Now let's implement the final Angular 6 CRUD operation, which is delete. For that, we will add a click event for this delete button here, like we have done for edit button. We have called this onDelete function by passing the customer key value. Now let's define this onDelete function inside the customer list component. So here we have the onDelete function with a single parameter $key. Inside that we have this if statement. Inside the function we have called the confirm function. Are you sure to delete this record or not? We will execute this if statement if user confirm the operation, because delete is a loss of data. Inside this if statement we will call this delete customer function from the customer service class. We have to define this function delete customer inside this customer service class here. Function will be as simple as this: delete customer with a single parameter $key, and in order to remove an item from this Firebase DB, we can call the remove function by passing the corresponding key value here. Now back to the customer list component, we have define the onDelete function. After a delete operation, I want to show a notification like we have done for update and insert operation. So open corresponding HTML file. Just below this table I will add this div. Inside that we have shown this delete successfully message. We will show this div only when this show delete message property is true. We have to define this property inside the TypeScript file here. So here is the property show delete message, which is of the type boolean. By default it will be false. After a successful delete operation we will set it as true, and we will reset that to false after 3 seconds. Now let me save all of these modifications. Back to the application here. Now let me add 2 more customers here. So here I have inserted 2 new customers, Sarah and Brendan. Now let's delete this Sarah customer. Click on this delete button here. It confirms the operation. Are you sure to delete this record? Click on OK. So here we have deleted and we have shown the notification here also. Now let's add a text box just above this table so that we can filter inside this Angular 6 table. So just above this table we will add an inline form. So here we have the form with class form inline. Inside that we need an input element. Inside that I will set this class as form control and name will be search input, and we have the placeholder, and I will implement this form using template driven approach. So here we have the local reference search input is equal to ng model two-way data binding. ng model is equal to search text, and finally we have set the width style as 80%. Along with this search text box I want to add a button just to clear this search text box. So here we have the button with these classes. Inside that we have shown a capital X. So here we have the two-way data binding with this property search text. Now let's define that here inside this component TypeScript file. So here it is search text of the type string, which is initially empty string. Now in order to work this template driven approach, we have to import forms module inside app module.ts file here. So first of all, along with this reactive forms module, we will import forms module. Now let's add the same inside this imports array here. Now let me save all of these modifications here, then back to the application. So here we have the search text box. Along with that we have this clear button. Now let's look how we can clear the text inside this text box using this button. It is too simple as this. Here we have the click event, and inside that we have set this search text property as empty string. Set it as empty string from this HTML itself. If you need more functions, more operations, you can write a separate function. Back to the application, let me enter some random text. Click on this button. It is cleared. Now let's look how to filter records from this Angular 6 table based on the text entered this search text box. For that we just need to add ngIf directive on this tr element here. So here is the ngIf directive. I will call this function filter condition by passing the customer object. From this function we have to return true or false depending on the search value from the text box. So here is the function filter condition. It is a plain JavaScript function, and inside that we will check the full name and we will convert that to lowercase, and we will call this index of function. Inside the function we have passed the search value from the text box, which is search text property, and we have converted that also into lowercase. If this index of function returns -1, that means this search text value is not present inside this full name. So based on the returned value, we will hide and show this tr element here. Now let me save all of these modifications, then back to the application. Now let me enter Cedric. So here we have the Cedric. If I enter Kelly here, it should be there. If I enter Wagner, it should be there. Okay, if I click on this clear button, it should be cleared. In video description I have given GitHub link for this Angular CRUD app. So here we have successfully implemented CRUD operations in Angular 6 with the help of Firebase. As I have already mentioned, in the next video series we will discuss Angular material topics like form design, CRUD operations, pop-up window, data table. If possible, we will have a session on inline data table edit operations. If you found this video helpful, please thumbs up this video. For more awesome videos like this, please be subscribed to this channel CodAffection. Please like and share this video with your friends and colleagues so that they can benefit from this. Have a nice day. Bye.